Yes, we have started the recording. You are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So anyway, so the last class, we have started this course at the first class. So I have explained you the syllabus. Okay. So whatever we are going to discuss. So since I think most of you have not done this probability courses, so we will spend little bit, more time on probability, and then after some time, we'll go to extreme value, statistics, reliability, and all those things, stochastic finite elements, and all other things, we will discuss at a later stage. Now, all of you have done finite elements, right? FEM course, I think everybody has done. True, no?
Yes, sir.
So I think Vaibhav also has done FEM.
Yes, sir.
So then I think the stochastic FPM will be simple for you, okay, straightforward. So anyway, so these are syllabus, and these are the books I already told you. Most of them are available online, or some soft copies, or even in our library. Everything is there. So and then finally, like since it was a first class, so we have seen why do we require this probability, okay, in our analysis. So if you want to solve any problem, say simply supported beam, or if you want to design any building, or if you want to do anything, basically, so we all know that mechanics is there. Okay, so this mechanics itself is sufficient. That is what we have been taught, or we have learnt like that. But unfortunately, what happens in the reality? So whatever mechanics you follow, right, you have learned. Okay, so what is the most important thing we said in the last class? Mechanics is essentially
Best guess.
just best guess actually. This is honestly you follow, right? You have to accept, because you remember, right? The ancient people or olden people say they have also built structures without even knowing the mechanics. Okay, so you have to accept this thing itself. And of course, we are not trying to downplay. So mechanics may be a best educated guess or whatever you can say. So that is a reality. So you have seen, right, in the COVID situation also, say now everybody said, right, people who has done PhD, Pfizer, Covaxin, so many things are there. But whatever they are doing using science also, but still the efficacy rates, you remember, right? So Covaxin they say 70% efficient, others they say 90% only efficient. So whatever they have studied is not, there is nothing like 100% kind of thing. So it is basically a guess itself. Okay. And another thing, if you want to philosophically also say, okay, so now how did you get admission into IIT? Yeah. See, how did you end up in IIT? Yeah. So, like, how did I become a professor in IIT? No, don't worry. Just you can openly follow it. How did we become professors, or how did you ended up in this type of thing? So, if you ask anybody, say how how did you get admission IIT? What is the answer you will give? Yeah, what answer you will give? See, or if you ask any, rich person, say Ambani or whatever, say how did he become rich? No. See, if you ask, like, what is your opinion? How did you join IIT? Like, how did you end up for PhD program? Yeah, tell me. Nothing to worry. You followed, right? Openly, just we are asking. No.
Interest of studying.
Studying, you can say hard work, right? You would have done a lot of hard work, all of you. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
So that is one answer we give. So we have done a lot of hard work, and you followed it. That's how I have also become professor. I also will say due to my hard work and other things. But if you see from a probability point of view, say how did I become professor here? Due to only my hard work. So due to your hard work only, you will become this stage. There are many people who are better than us, or who are you follow, right? They may be better or whatever. So generally, that's what we say. Mechanics is the best guess. So whatever hard work you have done and other things, say that is one type of thinking actually. Basically, you would have become, you would have joined IIT, or I would have become a professor just by a chance. You followed. So luck, you understand it. All of you know that luck. You know this word, luck.
Yes, sir.
So some people, just luckily, and of course nowadays it is all luck only. So like JEE exam is a 10 lakh people writes exam, and you have got a seat means it's not only just your hard work. You see, there is some amount of these things also may be there, which we don't know. You followed, right? So some people would have done excellent hard work, but they may not make it also. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever you are doing in our life, say, okay, it may be, a best guess or whatever we are trying to do, because nobody knows what life is or what this one. Okay, let's just keep it in mind. So probability is anyway you followed, right? So we will do, like, we'll assume in our probability theory that everything happens by chance, or what is the probability. That is how you have to look at things from now onwards after doing this course. Okay. So now anyway, uncertainty we have defined in our last class. Okay, so what is the definition of uncertainty? So several possibilities, multiple solutions are possible. Like, what is the load acting on this beam? Say, we don't know. It can be 10, or it can be 20, or it can be 30, or it can be. So if we cannot express one, single number or one single thing, so then we say it is an uncertainty. Actually, certainty means obviously all of there is only one answer. That is how we have been taught. Now, apart from that, you followed, right? There is one more thing which you have to understand is non-linearity. Okay, so there is a non-linearity also will give you several solutions. Okay, because several you followed, right? Multiple routes are possible, several solutions are possible. So now, whether uncertainty and non-linearity, both of them are same, like that also, some confusions are there. Now, even a linear system, say, if parameters are uncertain, you can have multiple solutions. Okay, so here also there are some theories are there. Some people say the whole world, there is no uncertainty, the whole world is non-linear. That's why you see this complexity. They say, some people, they say, no, the whole world is uncertain. You followed it. So philosophically, there are several issues are there. But anyway, we'll not go into detail. So this is what we are trying to say, the uncertainty. So probability is essentially to handle uncertainty. Now here also the most important thing we said. So where it is uncertainty? No, where is uncertainty in our lives? If you see, say. So this is also very important thing I have told you. Okay. So what is uncertain?
Futures.
Yeah. So in designing structures also, past structures, that is different. So future is the uncertain, and past is certain actually. But of course, why we are saying certain means, once the past has, like you say, Nepal earthquake, say, or tsunami. Before tsunami has occurred, everybody, nobody can predict that. But once a tsunami has occurred, say, now we can say, like in the past, how many tsunamis have occurred in Indian Ocean? You can give a perfect answer, like you say, 4 tsunamis have done, or this many earthquakes have occurred. You can give a perfect answer. Now, if I say how many tsunamis are going to occur in future, say, then there is no answer actually. So uncertain, certain kind of thing. But here, please keep it in mind. Although past is certain, that means only 4 tsunami. You know already the answer, but still people, they say it is like randomness in disguise. Actually, that is also random quantity. You cannot see, because that is the most important thing you have to say. And of course, the design of structures, you have to do it in future. So future means very, very dangerous and no control actually. Okay. And finally, who is interested in the future? No. No. So who is interested more in the future? Engineers, or which people are more interested in the future?
Yes, companies.
The insurance companies. Okay, so they would like to do all those things. So this is what we said. Now uncertainty also, last class I've defined two things are there. Okay, one is aleatory variability, other one is epistemic uncertainty. So aleatory means the inherent randomness in the system actually. So this is not in your hand, this is not in our hand actually, whatever you may have. So there is no control. Now epistemic uncertainty also, this also may sometimes look as uncertainty, but it can be reduced. So this comes due to lack of data, or lack of you followed, right, the knowledge itself. So now so you would have done 10,000 experiments, or 1 lakh samples are there, 2 lakh samples are there, say. So then your epistemic uncertainty can be reduced, but you may be having 2 lakh samples, but still you cannot predict what is going to come in the 2 lakh 1th sample actually. Okay, so that is what we call as the aleatory variability. Now, probability theory is essentially related to how to quantify this aleatory variability. Okay, like what is the probability of head, what is the probability of a tail, how much it comes, or a die problem, or compressive strength of concrete, or safety of a building. Everything is related to aleatory variability. So this example I showed you, like the loaded coin fair coin, say. So you cannot differentiate between these two. So like somebody gives you data, 10 samples and then do no. So you do not know whether this is correct or this is correct actually. So if you want to know which is correct, you have to do a lot of experiments and epistemic uncertainty can be reduced. But still, you would have done so many data, but still you cannot predict what is going to come in the future. So that is what we call as aleatory uncertainty. Okay, this also the most important thing we followed it. We discussed in the last class. Now, apart from that, you see one more example I will give you. So like, recently in earthquakes, say, so there is one thing, the data, NGI West data, they say. So there was a group in, the America, US, what they have done is they have collected all the data of earthquakes. Okay. So all the ground motion data, that is a response spectra of all past earthquakes, they have collected something around, 200 earthquakes or, very huge amounts of data. So this data set was given to all known people, around the world. There were several groups actually. So group number 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5 kind of a thing. So they have asked them to develop some kind of equation, like equations which can predict P ground acceleration. Okay, as a function of magnitude, distance, or whatever, some type of equation they asked them to develop. So that project was given to several groups actually. So now, but data was set for all the groups. Now, what happened was all of them developed the this type of equations, the design equations. All of them came up with different design equations actually. So if I give magnitude distance, this group will give some PGA, let us say 0.1 G, they give a second group's equation turns out to be 0.12, then other group 0.6 G, like 0.2 G, you followed it 0.3. So like that, you see, their data inputs are same, but you followed. Now, who is correct? No. So how do we just know what type of uncertainty is this? Now, what type of uncertainty is it? Data input data was same, but it was given to 6 groups, very big international groups. All 6 came up with different answers actually. So what type of uncertainty it is? Aleatory or it is epistemic? Now, come on, what type of uncertainty it is?
Epistemic.
It is basically an epistemic uncertainty. Now, how do you know that who is correct here? How to tell us who is exactly correct? Which group is correct? This fellow, this person, or this person? So how do we justify you should have? How do we justify that who is the correct this one? How to classify?
We can use large number of data set and then
The
we
large
can
number of data sets. Okay, it's more data you followed it, then only we can say who is you followed it correct. Even in our lab also, like we have seen the same experiments. Say one PhD student does, he will get some result. Same experiment some other student does, he will get different answers actually. You followed. Now who is correct means it's very difficult actually. Okay, so to that is what we call as a typical the epistemic uncertainty. It is like the decision. So like for example, say now in the vaccines also, corona, how many vaccines are there in India? We have Covishield, Covaxin, Pfizer, Moderna, you followed, so many vaccines has come. Now which is the best vaccine? Yeah. So what type of uncertainty? So which is the best vaccine? So how do we decide on that one? So that there also we have a problem. So now how do you, best vaccine means with available data, it's very difficult. They would have tested on 30,000 people or maybe, whatever number, and whatever numbers we have got, say, so each one claims at 90%, 70%, this, but who is finally the correct, we cannot say. So this is what we call as you followed, right? The epistemic, the uncertainty, lack of data or lack of knowledge itself. So this, you have to keep it in mind actually. So now, as already I told you, now in the practice, so people, you followed it, how they use it in design is in the design philosophies. I don't know how many, if you see the design philosophies, say, is a probability, they use. See, all of you have seen the wind code. See, in our IS Indian standards, which code has this concept of risk or these type of probabilistic aspects? So if you see that IS 875, the code part 1 gives, I think, some dead load, part 2, that live loads, 3, 4, 5, 6 are there. and IS 1893 gives you the earthquake code. Now in India, among all the codes, say which code contains the concept of probability? Now in the load estimation, which is the code? Now which code talks about probability for load estimation?
875 part 3. IS 875 part 3.
It is?
IS 875 part 3.
That is in the way, which load? Which load that is?
Sir, wind load.
That is wind code actually. So now wind code, what does our code specifies? What is the wind speed map they have given, right, in the code? Like you see, whole India, they will give several colors at 55 meter per second, some 5 or 6 zones they have divided. Now all these values corresponds to what probability? What is the concept they have used? Any idea? In the wind code, that wind speeds, whatever you say. So the code clearly specifies the risk level also. You remember they talk in terms of.
So they give basic wind speed and they multiply the basic wind speed by 4 factors.
No,
K1,
that is
K2,
4
K3, and
factors
K4.
but that basic wind speed that corresponds to what probability? So the basic wind speed map, it gives 55, some numbers they give you, but they also mention one very important thing. What is your factors? As you told, one factor is linked to what?
This is 50-year return period. So from that we can calculate the probability of it. We can calculate the risk.
There is no, what is that? They talk in terms of return periods. You have heard this, see 100-year return period, wind speed, the code clearly mentions you. So they say that these values corresponds to, some 100-year return period or 50-year return period. So they specify these numbers also. So in those factors, say one factor is related to the, the return periods. So return period anyway, reciprocal of return period is a probability only. So what happens is, so the only code in India, say, which talks about return periods is, you see, the wind code actually. So other things, not much, we don't know, like you see the dead load or live load or earthquake zones. Say the zone factors they have given 0.36G, 0.24G. Now, if you ask, say, how much risk is associated with these numbers or what is the probability associated with this number, so that information we don't know actually, follow, right? Only the wind code only gives you this numbers actually. And now if you see the international building code, say, so if you see the international building code, they have incorporated the probability, the seismic zone values. Okay, the zone values are the design values, the same. Okay, especially for earthquakes. Now, so any one of you know this return period or how much risk they corresponds to? What should be the design value? So the design value should corresponds to what return period? Now, in international building codes. Now, how much risk you have to take in IBC 2015 or the international building codes?
I think it's 500 years.
500 years.
I remember.
So we have to be careful. So what is that? The code clearly mentions, like IS 875 part 3, it says some 100-year return period and one formula they have given actual. Okay. So international building code, you have to select the design value corresponding to what return period or what probability. See, Jyoti, you are there. Tell me. Now, what is that IBC says?
So I think 100 years, sir.
100 years. So you have done the course also. How can you say 100 years it is? See, so you have to select a design values corresponding to 2% risk in 50 years. You followed, and the return period is 2,500 years. So what the international building code clearly mentions you, the building life is taken as 50 years actual. They say that, the probability of the, the design value exceeding or the risk is, 2% risk actual. So this is what the international building code, clearly specifies. Okay. Now AASHTO code say, this is used for bridges, AASHTO bridges and others. How much risk, any of you have an idea for the bridges? See the seismic design values say they should correspond to 7% risk actually. Okay, in 75 years. You followed. So this is what you see the code, the clearly you followed, it specifies. Now, if you see nuclear reactors, say, okay, so for nuclear reactors, USNRC, they use US Nuclear Regulatory Commission actually. Now, in India, we use AERB code, Atomic Energy Regulatory Board code, that is different from IS 1893. Okay, so these are for the seismic things. So for nuclear reactors, previously the risk level was 10 to the power of minus 4 actually. The risk should be. But now after this Japan's, the 2000 level Tohoku earthquake say, so all the nuclear people, they say now the design value should correspond to 10 to the power of minus 5 risk. This is the probability actually. Okay, so 10 to the power of minus 5 is very, very small, the number. So that means your design value, you should design for very high values. And if you design for that value, say amount of risk you can take is 10 to the power of minus 5. Okay, almost 1 lakh years return period, the reciprocal of this. Now for space shuttle, so what is the risk level? Like yesterday's class, I told you for space shuttle, say what is the risk level?
10 to the power minus 13.
10 to the power of minus 13 actually. That means you see the errors are very, very, you followed right, less actual. Okay, so this is how the codes have evolved. Even many other steel design, if you see LRFD codes and others partial safety factors, so all those things have come up from this type of reliability only. So even in our IS 800, say you remember right, they give you the strength factors are there, then you followed it, limit state of strength, limit state of serviceability. So we apply correction factors on this also, we apply correction factors on right hand side, left hand side, both them we apply. Okay, that 1.1, 1 point, all those things also came from this probabilistic numbers actually. Okay, so these are the risk levels which are given in some of the codes. So you can easily get these things. So like for example, if you see liquid nitro LNG tanks, okay, there is a AC code is there. So they say this has to be specified for 5,000 year return period. Okay, our probability means 1 by the 5,000. This is how you follow it. They give all these numbers. Okay, so this is how they give. Okay, so fine. Anyway, so that's why. So now to do all these studies, so you the probability theory or reliability, this course basically. Okay, so the reliability or this probability courses. So this code, it helps you to obtain this, the numbers. Okay, so this course essentially helps you, to get the numbers corresponding to this, the written periods. So that is the importance of the course. So that's why this course is very, very, the important you followed, right? If you want to do all these international course. Yeah. So now we will define, you see, the probability. Now, so what is the definition of probability? Yeah. So now probability, you see, we will try to define actual. Okay. Now the probability, you see, there are several definitions are there. Okay, for probability theory. The most important thing is you follow it. 3 types of definitions are there. One we say, the classical definition. Okay. Then relative frequency. Okay, and the last one, which is the one which is we are going to use, is axiomatic definition actually. So 3 definitions are there for probability. Okay, now let us see these 3 definitions. Okay, one is the classical definition. So this is a definition, you see, which you would have studied in your 7th class or the school. They also you use the probability, right? Like there are white ball, yellow ball is there. Like you see, you would have done all those type of the problems actually. So classical definition. So this is a definition. The probability theory, it says is, so if a random experiment. Okay, so if a random experiment, results in, you see, n number of outcomes, you say. Okay, n number of outcomes such that these outcomes are, equally, likely. Okay, mutually exclusive. collectively exhaustive. Okay, so out of these outcomes, now, if M are favorable, for more favorable for event A. Okay, so then the probability of getting A say is M by N. So this is how the classical the definition goes like this actually. Okay, so like so here the most important thing we should know is, so of course experiment is random, this one, so that outcomes are all random, so it results in n number of outcomes actually. Okay, so this is n is a total number of outcomes which are possible for such an experiment, and these outcomes should be like you see equally likely actually. Okay, then mutually exclusive, then collectively exhaustive actually. So these are three statements are there which is in this one. So like for example, say tossing a coin. So in tossing a coin problem, say, so how many outcomes are there? What is n in tossing a coin problem?
2.
2. What are those?
Heads, tail.
Heads and tails actual. Okay, now how these outcomes should be, what this definition is, they should be equally likely actually. Okay, so equally likely means the probability equal, so like what are the chances for getting head and the chances for getting tail, say they should be same actually, equally likely. That is the meaning of this sentence. Okay, then mutually exclusive actually. So what is meant by mutually exclusive? These words are very, very tricky. You have to understand very clearly. Mutually exclusive. If I say head and tail are mutually exclusive, what does it mean? Now, what's the meaning of head mutually exclusive? If I say head and tail are mutually exclusive.
If head occurs, then tails cannot occur, and if tails occur and heads cannot occur at the same time.
Any tails? So repeat once again, Namita.
Sir, if heads occurs in the event, then tails cannot occur at the
excellent.
same
Okay, excellent. Now I got you. Okay, so if head is occurring, say tail will not occur. If tail is occurring, head will not occur actually. So both are the intersection between head and tail is null actually. Okay, there is no possibility this itself. So that means it's mutually exclusive. Now collectively exhaustive. What is meant by collectively exhaustive? Now collectively exhaustive. Now.
At least one of the events can occur.
So not at least one of the events, collectively exhaustive. Okay, so if I collect both these things, whatever outcomes are there, say, they should be able to define the sample space. You follow? They should define the sample space. It is something like head union tail, say. So these two is equal to the sample space itself actually. You followed? So head and tail only are the only option. There is nothing like other than head and tail itself. So what this definition says is, if you are doing any experiments, experiment should be random. Random means its outcome you should not be able to predict. And if we have n number of outcomes there, and this outcome should be equally likely, there should be an equal chance for all these items, then they should be mutually exclusive. If one is occurring, others will not occur. Then collectively exhaustive. If I collect all the outcomes, it should give me the sample space, the whole space itself. Now out of these outcomes, if m are favorable for event A, then probability of A is m by n. And now tell me, what's the probability of getting head? So how many? What is n? So n is the number of outcomes. What is
2.
n? 2. So how many are favorable for head? How many outcomes are favorable out of these two?
1.
1. So it is 1 by 2. Now if it is a die throwing problem, so it is a dice problem. So what's the sample space in dice? How many outcomes are there?
6. 1, 2, 3,
1,
4,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually. And all are mutually exclusive also, equally likely also. Mutually exclusive means if one has come, say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will not come actually. If 2 has come, say other things will not come. And then if I add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so automatically I should get back my sample space also. So anyway, it satisfies all these three events itself. And now what's the probability of getting 1? Now what's the probability of getting 1 in die throwing problem? What is
1 by
n
6.
here?
6.
1
n
by
is
6.
1 by 6. Now what's the probability of getting even number?
3 by
Even
6.
number.
1 by
So this
2.
is 6. How many? What is m? How many are favorable for even number?
3, sir.
2, 4, and then 6. So it is 3 by 6 actually. You followed. And odd number is also. How many are favorable for odd number?
3 by 6.
This is also 3 by 6. So you can ask these type. So this is how we try to find out this classical definition actually. Okay. But now this definition has some limitations are there. What are those limitations? So this definition has you followed it. Some limitations are there. So if you see clearly this definition, what is the limitation here? The first thing is you followed it equally likely. So this definition says it has to be equally likely. What is meant by equally likely? Okay, so this definition says that equally likely means you followed right. The equally probable. See, the probability of getting head and probability of getting tail, they should be same actual. Or probability of getting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5, 6, they should be same. So that is the definition of equally likely means is equally probable also. You followed. So this is limitation, and we are defining probability in terms of probability only. It is like a recursive. You followed right, the definition itself. So this is a limitation here. Now another thing is you followed it. Suppose if it is a loaded coin, say, then what's the probability of getting head? So now I am having two coins, loaded coin. Then we have this fair coin actually. Like yesterday I told you, right? You can also have a loaded die also. So they cheat people, in gambling actually. Okay, by mass, they distribute such that one only will occur frequently, others will not occur that frequently. Now, for a loaded coin, say, what's the probability of getting head? If you use this definition,
Sir, we do not know.
for a loaded coin also, probability of getting head will be.
Sir, we do not know.
No, using this definition. See, for
The
this
1 by
definition,
2, sir. As
so this definition doesn't say anything about loaded or dice. It says if you are doing an experiment, how many outcomes are there? Simply how many head and tail says. So probability of getting head is 1 by 2, 1 by 2 only. So this definition cannot differentiate between this loaded die or you followed right. So it cannot differentiate between these two actual. So that is also another headache with this definition. And another main limitation of this definition is there is no role for experiments. You followed. So it doesn't say you have to do experiment or anything like that. Just you look at how many outcomes are there, simply assume that equally likely, mutual exclusive, collective exam, and simply you do the thing itself. So there is no role for experiments. You followed. So this is the problem with this definition actually. Although these definitions are classical and widely used in your school also, you followed it. Many of these problems you would have used, but these are the issues with this definition. Okay. So now it cannot differentiate between loaded coin or fair coin. It simply says 1 by 2, 1 by 2. So now the second one comes into picture actually. Okay. Yeah. So that is the limitations already we have said. Now the next definition, which came from the engineering community or the experimental people, that is the relative frequency approach. Okay, this is the second definition of probability. So it says if an experiment is performed, okay, n times, and out of these say m outcomes are favorable for occurrence of event A. Okay. Then the probability of ESA. So limit n tends to, you see, the infinity, m by n actually. So this is a classical, this is a, like the relative frequency definition. So what this definition is, if you want to find out probability, you do the experiment actually. How many times you have to do the experiment? How many times you have to do the experiment? N times, say. Now among these n times, you find out how many are favorable for this one. So for event, then you can find out actually. So like for example, if you are now for tossing a coin problem, what is the probability of getting head? Now for tossing a coin, say. Now what is the probability of getting head actually? Now, what's the probability of getting head? The previous definition was giving 1 by 2. Now, based on this definition, so what's the probability of getting head? Now, how to find out probability of getting head using this definition?
We have to perform the experiment in we have to toss the coin in times. Then from the sample space, we have to obtain the number of times that we have got head.
See, here there is no sample space actually. If you want to find out probability of getting head, you have to do?
Sir, I said we have to toss the coin n times.
So that means you have to do the experiment. Without doing the experiment, can you find out probability of getting head?
No, sir.
So this definition says if you don't do experiment, there is no probability actually. If you want to find out head, you have to do the experiment. Okay. So now this says, you do the experiment like 1,000 times you have done tossed a coin, say, and let us say out of 1,000 times 600 heads have come. So the probability of getting head is 600 by, you followed it, or 6 by 10 or whatever you say. So this is a 0.6 is the probability actual. Okay. So this is how this definition says. So the limitation, I should say. Okay, by looking at, you can, so the limitation of this definition is if there is no experiment, say, no probability. You followed. So you cannot find out, this one without doing experiment, you can't do anything actually. But one advantage it has, whether it can differentiate between loaded coin and fair coin. See, the previous definition was unable to do. Now, whether this definition can identify.
Yes, sir.
So this can identify, but other definition cannot do. Okay. Now only one problem here is the probability of getting a, if you see this definition, say what is here, n tends to
infinity.
So how many times you have to repeat the experiment?
Sufficiently large number of times.
Many number of times.
So like tossing a coin, so you have to do 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 or 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, that is a very problematic. Okay, so the infinity, so very large you followed, right? The data is required, and which is very expensive. Like in say tossing a coin means that's perfectly fine. If you are doing an experiment, say space shuttle or something, you have to launch infinite number of space shuttles and then get the thing is not possible actually, expensive thing. Okay, so this also is a very limitation with this this one. Now you have a limitation for the previous one also. Previous definition also gave m by n actually. Okay, but of course there was no experiment. Now here also it is m by n, but limit n tends to infinity. So both the definitions. So if you see both the definitions, they have one common limitation. Can any of you identify? Both the definitions are m by n, m by n. One limitation, not limitation, one observation. Can you keenly, if you identify, there is one very important observation you can make out from mathematical perspective actually. What is m and what is n? What type of numbers they are? They are all basically
integers.
Integers. So 6, 10, 3, this one actually. So now when you take ratio of that, two integers, so you will get always, rational numbers. Suppose, can I get a probability, like this? Okay, I want to give probability of it is 1 by root 2. So can I get these type of numbers from these two definitions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So irrational numbers, I cannot give actually. You followed it. Irrational numbers, they are not possible. That's what it says. Irrational numbers, they are not possible. So I cannot get a probability of head. Maybe, there may be some problems where, in our engineering or whatever, say, I would like to use irrational numbers, right, that pi square, area of a circle, pi, g, and whatever things you say. So if I want to have root 2 by root 3, root 5 by root 6, or something like that, so these two definitions, you cannot assign actually these type of irrational numbers also. So this also one more limitation with this definition also, with the previous definition also. So finally, that's what you see, we mathematicians, you followed it. It went to this axiomatic definition. This is the one which is, we are going to use and widely used actually. So this is definition. This is a mathematical definition. The previous one was given by, experimental people, or you followed it, people who used to do some small things itself. Okay. So now this is a mathematical theory. So so Kolmogorov. So he is a Russian. He defined this, this definition. Kolmogorov actually is a Russian, the statistician. He gave this definition. Now this definition is based on measure theory. Okay, in mathematics, you followed it. There is what we call as a measure theory. Have you heard this measure theory? No. So where you have used measure theory? See, all of you are using measure theory, but without knowing it is a measure thing. Okay. What is the best example? What are the important measures we are using in our engineering? See, from measure theory, what is the most important things we use in our engineering? What are the measures? See, length. What is the definition of length? Length is a measure, right, which we all use. Length, area, you followed, right? Volume and all other things are all measures only. So all of them have come from measure theory. Like you see, the measure theory gives you the the fundamental mathematics which this has to satisfy. Okay. So the same fashion, probability is also a measure. So we define as a measure, it measures something, the probability. So probability is also like a length, area, and volume actually. So area also measures something, volume also measures something, probability is also measure actually. You followed, right? So now this definition, what it says is, if you want to identify, if you want to define probability, the first thing what this definition says is, you construct a sample space. Okay, so this definition goes like this. It says you construct a sample space. You followed. So that means you see a set of all possible outcomes. So this is the first step actually. You collect all the possible outcomes. So in coin problem, say, what is the sample space? For in the tossing a coin, what is the sample space? What are the all possible outcomes?
I don't think so.
Now suppose if it is a die throwing problem, say, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 actually. Now suppose if it is a compressive strength of concrete, or a rainfall, or whatever things we are using, like rainfall, say, what is the, like, how much rainfall will come in Chennai, or what is the rainfall, say. So what is the sample space for rainfall? Tell me, for rainfall, say, what is the sample space? What is it can go
So
from
0
there
to maximum rainfall.
What is that maximum range possible, right? Can you give
So
any
depends
bound?
on place, sir. So depends on place, 400 mm per year.
Sir, do you know that 400 will be, that is the highest value?
Not sure, sir.
Then what is that if you're not sure, what is that you have to do?
So probable value we should consider, sir.
See, you are defining probability in terms of probable value only. See, we are defining probability. What we are asking is, say, like for rainfall or compressive strength or whatever, what is the limit set? What is its sample space? It can start from what is the minimum lowest value?
All possible outcomes, sir.
What is it all possible outcomes? Tell
So
me.
in the sample space will be the previous times highest measure of rainfall and the least measure of rainfall.
What is the least rainfall possible?
0.
Lowest rainfall?
0
0.
mm.
Maximum value, we are not sure, right? So it is infinity. You followed. So rainfall or compressive strength or whatever it is, basically your real line. And here, please remember here, when you talk rainfall or compressive strength, say irrational numbers are possible. So you can have a rainfall like you say 83.4555677. You followed, right? That also is a possible. So it is basically your real line. You followed the real line, whatever you are using, say. So it can be rainfall can be 0.1 or 0.00001 also. Anything is possible. So the real line itself is your sample space actually. Okay, for all the rainfall or compressive strength of a concrete also. Now they say M100 concrete is the highest, but we don't know in future. You see, it can go to anything. So we don't have no idea. You followed, right? So it is basically the real line itself. Now here also there are something like which you should know, countably, infinite. And then you see uncountably, finite, the sample spaces. See, countably infinite to say. You follow, right? You can count, but still it is infinite. Okay. So like for example, number of the accidents. So what is the number of accidents in India? What is the sample space? The number of accidents occurring in the whole globe or whatever say. What is the lowest number? That is basically
0, sir.
0.
0.
0. What is the man? And what type of numbers are there? One accident. There is nothing like a half accident, 2.5 accident. That doesn't happen. Okay. Number of accident means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. And what's the maximum value?
Infinity.
Infinity. We are not sure actual. Okay. So this is, but here the number of accidents, of course, here also it is infinite sample space only, but you can count actual, like, one accident, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this actually. Or even you see the number of stars, say. How many number of stars are there in the sky? So number of stars or whatever, say. What is the sample space here?
So rational
How-
number 0 to infinity.
It is also infinity only, but you can count all the number of stars. You followed, right? So number of stars or number of phone calls, like this, if you want to find out how many phone calls a person does per day, or Vodafone, so how many phone calls are going. So these are all infinite, very large numbers, but these are all countable, like 1 call, 2 call. There is nothing like a 2.5 or 2.33 call like that actually. Okay. So these things we call as a countably infinite. Uncountably finite means, like rainfall, say. So rainfall means, here also sample space is 0 to infinity only. But here rainfall or compressive strength, what happens is you can have a rainfall of 83.444444, or, 111111, you follow, right? So these type of numbers are also possible actually. So that means, you cannot count them. You follow it. It is not like one rainfall or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But there is, you can have a, the irrational things also can come into picture actually. You follow. So this is what we call as you say uncountable infinite. So please be careful when you say infinite. Say there are two types of infinities are there. One is a countable, other one is the uncountable. So this you have to be very careful. Okay. And now this example, what is the axiomatic definition? What it says is you first find out the sample space. Now the next one is you construct event space. This is the next step. So this is defined by the symbol, the B. Sample spaces are defined by this symbol. So this symbol is used to denote the sample space. This is the event space. So the event space is the collection of all possible subsets in sample space. Okay, all possible subsets you collect, say, that will give you the event space actually. And now what is the event space for tossing coin problem? Sample space is head and tail. Okay, now what is the event space? What are all possible subsets you have to write? You would have studied
Head.
That is
Head.
head. No, one time only. See, what are the possible subsets? Head itself is a subset actually. Tail itself is a subset. Then You would have studied in set theory long back. Sample space itself is a subset of sample space. Then what is the last one? What is the last one? What is the possible subsets? Sample space will be there, head itself will be there, tail will be there, and the last one is
Null sets.
Null set actually. So you know, right, that formula. If n is the the numbers in n is the size of sample space, say. If your sample space size is n, now how many possible subsets are possible? You know that formula 2 to the power of n actually. So in coin problems, you have only 2. So 2 square, that is a 4. Will be the possible subsets. Now suppose if it is a dice problem, say in die problem, how many subsets are possible? So you can have 1, 2, you followed right, individual, you see, this will be there, 5, 6, like that, you followed right. So all, how many possible subsets will be there? Now, 2 to the power of
6.
2 to the power of 6, these many things will come. Now, if it is rainfall or compressive strength of concrete, say, what are the possible subsets? See, the sample space itself is infinite. What will be your subsets, say?
Infinite.
It is infinite only, you follow, right? So this is a straightforward thing only. So these many subsets are possible. So what this definition says is you first construct sample space, then the event space, then the last one is you assign probabilities. You followed, it says that you assign the probabilities to all the events. Okay, to all the events in your event space such that. So it says that you can assign any probability you like actually, okay, not that one thing, such that the probability of any event, say. Okay, so P of AI. Yeah. This is it should be always greater than 0 actual. So the probability can never be negative probability. So it should be always the probability, and the maximum probability which you can assign is the 1. So this also it says, and the last one says it is basically you follow right, P of A1 union A2. Okay, it should be you follow right, P of A1 plus P of the A2 minus P A1 intersection A2 actually. So these are the 3 fundamental axioms of probability. You followed, and these axioms are it is not only for probability, it is basically a measure. See, suppose if you take length, see length or area or whatever, say. So length, area or probability, all of them are same. Now length be negative? Length of any line segment or area can be negative. Can you get negative areas?
No, sir.
It is not possible because mathematically, the length area, they have been defined as a positive only. Now, what is the maximum length? Is there any limit for length?
It can be infinity.
It can be infinite, but so these are main different. Probability can be, it is also it cannot be negative. There is nothing like probability of A is minus 0.5. That is not allowed actually. Okay, so probability is also measured. It is same like length, area, and volume. It has to be positive, but only difference between length, area, and probability is the maximum probability you can assign is how much?
1, sir.
1. So this is the one which is this is different actual, okay, compared to length, area, and others. Now the third one is also applicable for length, area also. You followed. So suppose I have a line segment, 2 events are there, say, like you see, you followed, right? Like you say, I have like some Chennai and Hyderabad are there, say. Okay, just I'm giving just an example, and in between 2 more towns are there. Okay, now this is some town A and this is a town B. Now if I know the distance between Chennai and town B is 1,000 kilometers. Okay, and the distance between A and you followed Hyderabad is another 1,000 kilometers, say. And now what's the difference between distance between Chennai and Hyderabad? How do you find out? And let us say this AB distance is some 500, say. What's the distance between Chennai and Hyderabad?
1,500.
How did you find out that one? So
Chennai
this
to
is
distance.
so Chennai and B is 1000 kilometers. Okay, then other one is also 1000 kilometers. Then what's the intersection?
500.
500 kilometers.
So this gives you followed at the distance. Say same thing only. You followed. So same concept is applicable for probability also. So if I have two events, say if I want to find out the total one, so you have to use this formula, which anyway the same applicable for area you followed, right? Everything if you want to find out area, say. So you can use this followed it, this common thing, and you have to subtract actually. So these things should be followed. All of you should remember these three fundamental axioms. And please remember, probability is not anything great. Okay, probability is same as your length or area or volume only. It is just a measure. That's all, nothing else. But only difference between length, area, and probability is this is the second axiom. This is the one which is the difference, because the maximum probability is limited to one. But whereas for length, area, and others, nothing is limited actually. Okay, so it can be as good as whatever maximum value it can take. Okay, so this you have to please understand. Yeah. And now there are some technical things like you say this one. So we call this as a measurable space. That is a sample space and then event space. Okay, then this one, then this one, then the probability. This if I do this, we call as a probable space. So these are all mathematical words actually. Okay. So this is how we followed, right? This definition actually. So now this is how the definition has to be. So what this Kolmogorov or what this axiomatic definition says is, if you want to do anything, so first you construct a sample space, then you construct event space. Now to all the events in the event space, so you assign probabilities, whatever you think you like. You can give any probability you want, rational or irrational or anything you can give. But whatever probability you are giving, so it has to satisfy these three axioms actually. So these three fundamental rules you have to follow for giving these probabilities actually. Okay, so this is a nice definition. The advantage of this definition is now based on this definition, so what's the probability of getting head? No. How much will you probability of getting head? How much probability you can give for head?
Sir, if we know it's a fair coin, then we can assign it to be half. If we do not
Here
know,
we
then
don't say any fair coin or loaded coin. Based on this definition, what is the probability of getting head? So this is the rules. This is the rule. These three rules you see here. So what's the probability of getting head based on these three rules? You can give
Maximum is 1, sir.
maximum is 1, minimum is
0, sir.
0. Anything you can give actually. So this definition doesn't stop you. Like if I give probability of head is 1 by root 2, say, what's the probability of getting tail?
1 minus 1 by root 2.
1 minus 1, because your probability of sample space has to be maximum is how much? 1. Sample space means head and tail only. So probability of head plus probability of tail, if I add, it should come back to 1. But so probability of head, if I give as 1 by root, other one will become 1 minus 1 by root 2. So this definition, it doesn't say anything. You can give half also, or whatever you want. You can give even an irrational number also. You can give a rational number also. No m by n rule, nothing is there. So this definition, what happened, the main advantage is it opens up actually, okay, the whole mathematical theory, because you are defining nicely in terms of a measure. Then you don't restrict like m by n or something. Anything can be possible. And irrational numbers automatically we encounter, because rainfall data are compressed trends at 23.444456, something like that. So anything we can use it in this by this definition. So this is the most important thing. But the only limitation with this definition is like too much open actually. So what's the probability of getting head here? This definition doesn't tell you anything. It says you can give anything you like, root 3 or 1 by root 3, anything you can give as whatever you like. Only these things are too the broad kind of a thing. So this definition it doesn't say anything like you should use m by n or whatever. It doesn't say anything actually. And this Kolmogorov, he says that if you want to find out how much I have to assign this one, he says you use statistics actually. Okay, it says, you know, you take Kolmogorov, you know, he is told that you see, you take the help of statistics to assign these probabilities. But these are the rules actually. You cannot give, you know, probability of some event is minus 0.1, that is not allowed, and maximum probability it cannot exceed 1, and A1 union A2 say. This has to be satisfied like this. Okay, so these are the rules, and you can, and if you want to find out that one, they say that you go to statistics, take the help of the data, or take help of this one, and then you decide whatever way you like. Okay, so this is the most important definition. So all of you, these three fundamental axioms you should never forget. Okay, in the like we have seen people who has done lot of probability, they would have done stochastic mechanics, all courses, but if you ask them a fundamental question, say please define definition of probability, what are the axioms, many of them they don't know. We followed, so these three you should never forget in life. Very easy to remember. Just imagine probability as a length, area, or a measure, so automatically you will get these things itself. Okay, please keep this in mind. And now one more probability is there, that is a conditional probability, which is the one which is widely used. So this conditional probability is something like say it is also probability only on a restricted sample space. Okay, and restricted sample space. You followed. So these also same probability only, but restricted sample space. It is something like you followed, right? Now, if you see the conditions, say whole India, you followed, right? Like how many number of COVID deaths are possible, or how many number of, what is the probability of, you see, deaths, in the India, how many COVID deaths are possible or something. But now when you talk about, India means, it is not one, right? We are having several states actually. So now if you want to ask the probability of deaths in Orissa or maybe Andhra or Tamil Nadu, say, so what is happening? See, everybody is talking about COVID deaths only. So you can talk like whole world itself. You follow, right? The whole world, how many number of COVID deaths are possible or probability, you can talk like that. But if you talk about India, say, what type of probability it is? Probability of COVID deaths in India, say. What type of probability it is? So probability of COVID deaths in the entire world. You followed. The other one is a probability of deaths in India only. So what is the difference between these two? Both are same only, COVID deaths only. But one is talking about the whole world, another one is talking about the India. So what's the difference between these two?
So India is subset of whole world.
Now, so what is that you are trying to do? So when I'm saying the probability of deaths, COVID deaths are India. So what is that you are doing? The whole world, that is a sample space. The world is a big sample space. Now, when you're talking about India, so what is that you have done?
So we have given a condition over here.
Now, condition means, but so that means your sample space has been restricted actually to only India. Now in India itself, you can make another thing, probability of deaths in Orissa or Tamil Nadu or whatever, say. So then what are you doing here? Essentially, you are restricting your sample space, at a small scale, you follow, right? You are doing this one. So this we call as the conditional, the probability. So like, for example, this is my restricted sample space, say. So now, so this is my whole sample space. And let us, I have restricted my sample space to only some small region actually. We followed like whole world, India, something like this. Say. So now I am interested in finding the probability of an event A. Okay, in this one actually restricted sample space. That means I write this as probability of A given this one actually, the conditional probability. So this is also probability. So we are having another probability, that is a P of A. So when I talk about P of A, so this is with respect to what sample space? Say P of A, say that is sample space is no. Now what is my original sample space?
So all possible outcomes.
That means P of A refers to this one. You followed, right? Now this refers to
the smaller event.
smaller this one you follow, right? So this we call as, you see, the conditional, the probability. Or like, for example, say die throwing problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is my sample space actually. So probability of getting 1 is how much? In the original sample space, how much it is?
1/6.
1/6. Now I will restrict my sample space to odd numbers. What is the probability of getting 1 in an odd number? Now I have restricted my sample space to odd number. So odd number means, what is your sample space now?
3.
135.
135.
Fine. Now what is the probability of getting 1 in this restricted sample space?
So 1/3.
1/3. So now the event is same. 1 only you are interested, but what is the probability of getting 1 in the old sample space is 1/6. Now in the restricted sample space it is 1/3. You followed, right? So these are the the conditional probability. So this we write like this actually. So probability of getting 1, say given odd sample space or something like that we write, okay, is 1/3. Suppose if you make into whole sample space, it becomes 1/6. So that, like that, you see how to interpret the conditional probability. It's a very the important thing even in our like damage, say like building damage. Now if you see building damage is caused due to what type of loads? See, when I say damage in a building, say it is basically caused due to in our engineering, say damages. If you see any multi-story buildings, a damage can be caused due to what are the several factors? Now you can have damages due to rain, you followed, right? Heavy rainfall, excessive rainfall, so that also may create damage. Then wind may be there, earthquake will be there, you followed, right? Or some fire may be there, or so many things. Blast may happen, very rare. But a building can get damaged due to variety, like creep, you followed it, concrete going down, or bars getting corrosion, you followed, so many things will be there. So generally the building damage, building damage is like a big thing actually. It will have all possible things itself. Now if I restrict my sample space, so the probability of building damage actually, so this is with respect to the whole sample space, due to rain, due to wind, due to earth, due to fire, all these things are incorporated. Now if I ask this question, so the probability of the building damage due to only earthquakes actually, what type of probability this is? No.
Conditional.
It's a conditional probability. So what I'm interested in damage only, but I'm not interested in fire or anything like that. Only the earthquakes. So whole sample space say. So this whole sample space contains wind, fire, everything will be there. But in that I'm restricting myself to something, and then I'm doing this itself. So this is what we call as the conditional you followed, right? The probability actually. Okay, this is a very the important thing. Okay. So so that's how you see we try to do, you followed it many, and the conditional probability also, this also satisfies all the axioms. So whether it is a conditional probability or whatever probability say, it has to satisfy axioms. What are the 3 axioms? What should happen? What is the first axiom? It should be
more than 0.
Probability of any event can't be more than 1.
More than 0. A maximum you can give is
1.
Whether it is a probability or this or whatever you followed, it should be 1. Then you can also A1 union A2, say given this thing, this also you can write P of A1 you followed, this one plus P of A2 you followed, given like this, and you followed, right? A1 intersection A2, say given this restricted sample space. So all the axioms are you followed, right? Perfectly valid for this also. Okay. And we can also write the probabilities, A given B. So there are some the interesting things are there. So like for example, say now probability of sample space with respect to B. Now what will be this one? Now What is this value? So let us say A, B, all of them are inside the sample space. Okay, the event A, event B is inside. Okay, so this is my sample space lambda, that is this omega, sorry, the whole sample space. What will be this value, this probability? What is the probability of getting the entire sample space given that B has occurred actually? Now, what will be this value? See, B is a subset of what? B is located inside.
Probability will be 1.
1. Obvious, right? Because sample space already this itself is there. Or you can also write this expression as P A given B, say, okay, as P A intersection B by P of B actually. You follow? Now this definition, if you see, this becomes probability, this intersection B given P of B. You follow? So what is omega intersection B? Now omega is the entire one. B is anyway inside. So what is omega intersection B?
PB.
It is probability of B itself.
So P of B by P of B. You follow? So this is nothing but 1 actually. So this also is important, the formula or whatever we use actually. So P of A given B, say, is nothing but P of A intersection B by P of B itself. Okay, it's a very important thing. Or we sometimes people also write like this: P of is A intersection B, say, is P of A given B multiplied by using P of B. Okay, so this also one can prove and you follow it. You can do things also. Okay, so fine. I think I will stop here. So the next class we will continue. We will discuss a total probability theorem. Bayes theorem is there, and we will see some very important applications actually. Okay, so of this theorems, and then we will go to random variables and then how the course goes. Okay, so fine. So if you have any questions, please ask.